The New Orleans Saints are starting to feel like the team nobody wanted to take seriously until the pieces began lining up in a way that looks hard to ignore. This was not supposed to feel this dangerous this fast. A new offensive rhythm, a younger core, a deeper receiver room, and a quarterback with real buzz have pushed the whole story into a different place. Tyler Shuck is no longer just a name fans are hoping on. He is now the center of a bigger question. What if the Saints did not just rebuild around him? What if they quietly built the exact kind of offense that could wake up the whole NFC South? And that is where this gets interesting, because this is not only about one quarterback throwing nice passes in practice. It is about what the Saints have put around him. Chris Olave gives him a proven target. Jordan Tyson brings fresh explosion. Devon, Vele give size and trust. Juwan Johnson and Noah Fant can stretch the middle of the field. Then the backfield gets even more serious with Travis Etienne Jr. and Alvin Kamara, two players who can turn a short play into a problem for the defense. Add David Edwards, Eric McCoy, Kelvin Banks Jr., Taliese Fuaga, and Cesar Ruiz up front. And suddenly, this does not look like a young quarterback being left alone to figure it out. But here's the twist. The hype around New Orleans is not coming from one loud fan base talking itself into hope. It is starting to come from the way the roster fits together, the way Kellen Moore can open the field, and the way Tyler Shuck now has a real chance to show if last season was only the start. The offense has speed, size, balance, and protection. The defense still has names that can keep games close. The whole setup feels different. And now, the pressure moves to the one player every eye is going to follow next. Because if Tyler Shuck is ready for the jump, the Saints might not be waiting for the future anymore. But before we get into that, hit that like and subscribe button for more Saints and all the NFL content. Let's aim for 500 likes on this video. The moment Tyler Shuck stopped being only a camp story, the whole New Orleans Saints conversation changed. Last year, people could still hide behind patience. They could say he was a rookie. They could say the sample was small. They could say the offense was still finding itself. Fine, that was fair then. But now the excuse window is smaller. He has been through real NFL snaps, real pressure, real mistakes, and real late season momentum. That changes how people watch him. What makes this season different is not just that Shuck has talent. Plenty of quarterbacks have talent and still leave fans guessing every Sunday. The difference is the role waiting for him now. Kellen Moore is not building a soft little safety net around him. He is building an offense that can ask him to think fast, attack space, and punish defenses that get too comfortable. Doug Nussmeier gives him another steady voice in the room. Spencer Rattler and Zach Wilson may battle behind him, but the main spotlight is not moving. This is the job Shuck has to shape. Every throw now carries more meaning because the team finally looks ready to measure him seriously than at any time before. And that is why this story has real weight. Nobody needs Tyler Shuck to become a legend by September. That is not the point. The point is whether he can look calm when the game speeds up, whether he can keep the offense on schedule, and whether he can turn those flashes from last season into something defenses must respect every week. No fake crown yet, no wild promise, just a clear test sitting right in front of him. The Saints gave him a better setup. The coaches gave him continuity. The locker room now needs proof, because when a young quarterback goes from promise to responsibility, praise stops being enough. The next question becomes who actually believes in him outside the building, and that is where one name makes this conversation feel a lot louder. The loudest sign around the New Orleans Saints did not come from a fan thread or a wild camp rumor. It came from Peyton Manning, and that matters. When a quarterback with his history stops and talks about Tyler Shuck, people listen differently, not because every compliment becomes a guarantee, but because Manning understands the ugly side of growing into the job. He knows what early pressure feels like. He knows how fast hope can turn heavy. That is why his message carries weight. Manning was not selling some empty dream. He pointed to the stuff that actually helps a young quarterback survive. Same head coach, same system, Same offensive voices. Kellen Moore and Doug Nussmeier being back gives Shuck something young passers rarely get, a chance to build instead of starting over. That sounds simple, but in the NFL, simple can be powerful. A new playbook can slow your eyes. A new coordinator can reset your rhythm. A new language can steal confidence before Sunday even starts. Shuck does not have to fight that battle right now. He can go deeper into the offense, cleaner with his reads, sharper with his timing, and more comfortable taking control. But the part that makes this feel bigger is the Saints' connection behind it all. Manning is tied to New Orleans by blood, memory, and football roots. Drew Brees still hangs over this franchise like the standard every quarterback feels, even if nobody says it every day. So when praise starts coming from people who understand this city and this position, it raises the temperature. Still, praise is not a shield. It will not block a blitz, fix a bad throw, or win a tight fourth quarter. It only tells us the signs are real enough to notice. Now the question becomes harder. Can Tyler Shuck turn outside belief into locker room command? And is he already acting like the leader this offense needs before the first snap even arrives? That is where the next layer of the story starts to hit. The real test for Tyler Shuck is not only what happens when the ball is snapped, it is what happens before anybody is watching. That is where young quarterbacks either start owning the room or they stay stuck as talented arms waiting for permission. The New Orleans Saints needed more than throws this offseason. They needed presence. They needed their quarterback to pull people closer, not sit back and let the staff do every bit of the bonding. That is why the summer workout story matters. Shuck did not just talk about chemistry with Chris Olave, Juwan Johnson, Devon Vele, Jordan Tyson, Bryce Lance, and Barry Brown. He put action behind it. When a quarterback brings teammates together, pays attention to the small details, and makes sure timing gets built away from the noise, that tells the locker room something. It says this is not casual. It says the offense is not waiting until camp to find its pulse. And when he reaches toward Drew Brees for help setting things up, that is not weakness. That is awareness. Smart quarterbacks use every resource they can, especially in a city where the standard is still tied to one of the best leaders the franchise has ever had. But leadership can turn heavy fast. Once a quarterback starts acting like the face of the team, people expect him to play like it too. The speeches matter less when third down arrives. The extra work matters only if it shows up in trust, timing, and cleaner decisions. Still, this is the kind of move that separates a quiet off-season from a serious one. Shuck is trying to build more than rhythm. He is trying to build belief. That is not hype. That is how real pressure starts to grow inside a young offense. And if those private reps turn into early season confidence, the next question becomes dangerous for every defense on the schedule. Who exactly is he throwing to? And which Saints weapon is about to become the surprise nobody prepared for? This is where the New Orleans Saints story gets sharper, because Tyler Shuck is not walking into an empty offense anymore. For a young quarterback, weapons are not just names on a depth chart. They are answers. When pressure comes, where does the ball go? When the pocket gets tight, who wins quickly? When the defense crowds the short area, who makes them pay deep? That is why this group feels different from the usual offseason hope. Chris Olave gives Shuck the clean route runner every quarterback wants when the play has to stay on schedule. Jordan Tyson brings the kind of fresh burst that can force defenses to back up. And as a rookie, he gives New Orleans a new layer teams have not fully studied yet. Devon Vele gives size, trust, and that middle of the field comfort that can save a drive when nothing looks pretty. Then come the tight ends. Juwan Johnson can work soft spots. Noah Fant adds speed at a position defenses hate matching. Oscar Delp, another rookie, gives the room more shape because he can grow into a role that helps both the pass game and the run game. But the hidden spark may be lower on the depth chart. Bryce Lance is the name that can sneak up on people because big receivers with downfield ability change how safeties think. Barian Brown brings return danger and speed that can steal field position before the offense even gets settled. Jalen Polk has a chance to fight for real snaps if he proves he belongs in the rotation. That matters, because depth is what keeps an offense dangerous after the first plan gets taken away. And that is exactly why this offense feels suddenly alive today. The Saints no longer need every play to run through one target. They can spread stress around. And if this group clicks with Shuck, then the next question becomes even more uncomfortable. Do they still need a veteran like Keenan Allen? Or is the answer already inside the building? The name Keenan Allen changes the room because it brings a different kind of debate for the New Orleans Saints. This is not a panic button. This is not some wild move just to make noise. It is a question about timing. When a young quarterback like Tyler Shuck is trying to grow fast, does one proven veteran make the whole operation cleaner? Or does he take oxygen away from the young receivers already fighting to rise? That is the line New Orleans has to study. Allen knows how to separate, how to sit in soft spots, and how to become friendly on tough downs. He has already worked with Kellen Moore, and that matters because trust can build faster when the language is familiar. But this offense is not empty. Chris Olave needs targets. Jordan Tyson is a rookie with real draft weight behind him. Devon Vele gives Shuck size and comfort. Bryce Lance and Barian Brown bring speed that cannot be ignored. Jalen Polk is still fighting for a role, so signing Allen only makes sense if the price is smart and the plan is clear. He cannot be added just because the name feels safe. The best version of this move is simple. Allen becomes the steady hand, not the headline. That fit can help a young offense grow without changing its real identity or blocking its future path. He helps in the red zone, helps on third down, and helps Shuck see what veteran spacing looks like in real time. The wrong version is forcing touches and slowing the younger pieces that might define the future. That is why this decision is tricky. The Saints need support, but they also need room for growth. One veteran could sharpen the offense. One wrong fit could crowd it. And while everybody talks about adding one more weapon, the bigger truth is waiting on the other side of the ball, because Shuck might not need to carry every game if the defense is ready to protect the rise. The New Orleans Saints offense is getting the spotlight, but the defense might be the reason this Tyler Shuck story can breathe. Young quarterbacks do not grow the same when every drive feels like survival. They grow faster when the other side of the ball gives them field position, shorter games, and a few mistakes they can live through. That is why this defense cannot be treated like background noise. It is part of the quarterback plan. Start up front, because that is where stress begins. Cameron Jordan still gives the room a voice that matters. Chase Young brings edge talent that can change a series in one snap. Brian Breesy has the power to wreck pockets from inside. Davin Godchaux can help control the middle. Then comes the part that feels hidden. Vernon Broughton lost time, but he is not a forgotten piece. He gives New Orleans size, length, and fresh rotation value if his body is right. Chrisen Miller, a rookie, adds another young interior option who can fight for snaps and grow into something bigger. That kind of depth matters, because tired defensive lines make average quarterbacks comfortable. The back end has its own pressure too. Kool-Aid McKinstry has to keep climbing. Jonas Sanker and Quincy Riley give the secondary more youth and range. Justin Reed brings experience. Pete Werner and Caden Ellis can help settle the second level, while Tyree Wilson gives the front another name to watch if his role expands. None of this means the Saints' defense has already solved everything. That would be too easy. But if this group can close drives, force long fields, and keep games from turning wild early, Shuck gets a cleaner runway, and that changes the whole season. That is the quiet advantage most people are missing before the pressure reaches September and expectations get real fast. Because the final question is no longer whether the roster has pieces. It is whether all of them can rise at once when the games finally start to count. Everything around the New Orleans Saints now points back to one hard truth. This season will not be judged by off-season praise, pretty depth charts, or how exciting the roster looks on paper. It will be judged by whether Tyler Shuck can turn all this support into wins when the game gets tight. The setup is better, the belief is louder, and the patience is thinner. That is the danger of a real opportunity. For once, the mystery is not about missing pieces. It is about arrival under pressure. Look at what sits around him now. Kellen Moore has enough pieces to stress defenses in different ways. Doug Nussmeier gives the quarterback room a steady voice. Chris Olave can win cleanly. Jordan Tyson brings new juice. Devon Vele gives size. Juwan Johnson, Noah Fant, and Oscar Delp make the middle of the field harder to defend. Travis Etienne Jr. and Alvin Kamara can punish light boxes. David Edwards, Eric McCoy, Kelvin Banks Jr., Talieza Fuaga, and Cesar Ruiz give the line a chance to become the engine instead of the excuse. That is not a small change. That is a franchise trying to remove every soft place where doubt can hide. So the final question is not whether the Saints have talent. They do. The final question is whether all these parts can move with one heartbeat before the rest of the NFC South adjusts. Shuck does not have to chase ghosts from the past. He does not have to be Drew Brees, and he does not have to live up to every word from Peyton Manning in 1 month. He only has to prove the moment is not bigger than him. Calm in the pocket, sharp with the ball, tough after mistakes, brave when the defense gives him a chance to finish. If that version shows up, New Orleans becomes more than a fun summer story. It becomes a problem. And once the Saints become a problem, the whole division has to start looking over its shoulder.